In the late 18th century, a profound clash unfolded on the American frontier, shaping the destiny of a seemingly growing nation and the indigenous peoples resisting its territorial ambition. This pivotal conflict, known as the Northwest Indian War, emerged at the confluence of complex historical forces, where the aspirations of the newly formed United States collided with the steadfast resistance of Native American tribes in the Northwest Territory. After the American Revolution, the United States made agreements with Native American nations in the Northwestern lands. These agreements set up shaky boundaries, but things got tricky because the U.S. kept moving into Native American territories while pushing westward. The problems go back to events like Pontiac's Rebellion, the Proclamation of 1763, and how relationships between Native Americans and the U.S. changed during the American Revolution. In this video, curated by Native Journals, we will take you on a journey back in time as we unravel the events of the Northwest Indian War, shedding light on the causes, protagonists, and pivotal engagements that unfolded in the Northeast Territory. The tale of this war reverberates through history, influencing the trajectory of U.S. Native American relations and leaving an indelible mark on the westward expansion that would come to define the American nation. Before we go into captivating details, keenly show your support by giving us a thumbs up and hitting the subscriber button to get exclusive access to our wealth of videos. The Northwest Indian War, also known as Little Turtle War, spanning from 1785 to 1795, was a pivotal conflict between the newly formed United States and a coalition of indigenous tribes in the Northwest Territory. This territory, encompassing present-day Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, Wisconsin, and parts of Minnesota, was hotly contested due to conflicting territorial claims arising from the American Revolutionary War. The roots of the conflict can be traced back to the Treaty of Paris in 1783, which marked the end of the Revolutionary War and established the boundaries of the newly independent United States. However, ambiguities in the treaty led to disputes over control of the Northwest Territory, as both the U.S. and Native American nations, including the Shawnee, Miami, and Delaware, laid claim to the region. As American settlers pushed westward into the Northwest Territory, tensions escalated. The Native American tribes, led by influential figures such as Little Turtle of the Miami and Blue Jacket of the Shawnee, resisted the encroachment of their lands and the threat to their established way of life. Cultural clashes, misunderstandings, and economic factors further fueled the hostility between the two groups. Background: the Treaty of Paris, signed on the 3rd of September 1783, marked the official end of the American Revolutionary War between Great Britain and the newly formed United States of America. This pivotal treaty had profound implications for territorial claims and reshaped the geopolitical landscape in North America. The treaty formally recognized the independence of the United States, acknowledging it as a sovereign nation separate from British rule. The acknowledgement of independence laid the foundation for the United States to establish its own territorial claims without interference from British authorities. The treaty outlined specific boundaries between the United States and British North America. The Mississippi River was established as the western boundary, while the Great Lakes served as the northern boundary. However, the treaty did not explicitly address the interests and territories of Native American nations, leading to uncertainties and disputes over land ownership. With that, Native American communities faced increased pressure as both British and American settlers expanded westward, contributing to future conflicts like the Northwest Indian War. The economic ambitions of American settlers, driven by land speculation and the desire for fertile soil, clashed with the economic interests of Native American communities relying on traditional hunting grounds. This clash created a volatile environment as settlers sought to establish farms and towns on lands central to Native American livelihoods. Battle of Fallen Timbers. Before the Battle of Fallen Timbers, the Northwest Territory witnessed two unsuccessful American military expeditions, led by Generals Josiah Harmer in 1790 and Arthur St. Clair in 1791, both failing to quell the unrest. St. Clair's Battle of the Wabash specifically ended in an Indian victory, causing substantial U.S. troop losses. In response, President George Washington appointed General Anthony Wayne, renowned as Mad Anthony, for his audacious success in storming a British fort during the Revolutionary War, as the commander of the newly established Legion of the United States. In 1792, the Legion, with 5,190 soldiers, was split into 4 parts called sub-legions. Each of these had various types of soldiers and weapons. General Wayne spent almost 2 years training them to be a disciplined and effective force. After seeing the problems of sending untrained soldiers to battle before, the Legion could work together or separately, and by the fall of 1793, they were ready for action. They started along the Ohio River, going from Legionville to Fort Washington in Ohio. Then they moved north, building forts along the way. In December 1793, they began fort recovery at the site of a previous defeat. Some stayed there, but most spent the winter at Fort Greenville. Wayne paused further movement until spring due to bad weather and desertions. On the other hand, Little Turtle, a prominent leader of the Miami tribe, emerged as a key figure in the Native American resistance against U.S. expansion. He demonstrated exceptional military acumen, leading his forces to victories in early battles against American expeditions, including the Battle of Hama's Defeat in 1790. Blue Jacket, a Shawnee chief, also rose to prominence as a dynamic and influential leader within the Western Confederacy. Blue Jacket played a crucial role in forming alliances among various Native American tribes, fostering unity against the common threat posed by U.S. expansion. Little Turtle and Blue Jacket, along with other tribal leaders, effectively coordinated military strategies, pooling resources and intelligence to resist American incursion. They adapted their tactics to the dense forests and open prairies of the region, utilizing guerrilla warfare techniques to counter the more conventional U.S. military approaches. Guided by Blue Jacket's cunning strategy, around 1,500 Indian warriors set up a clever ambush for the approaching American Legion. They cleverly picked a spot along the expected route, strategically positioning themselves for a surprise attack. Opting for a location filled with fallen trees from a recent tornado, they camped nearby, hoping that the tangle of tree trunks would throw a tricky obstacle in the path of the oncoming U.S. troops. On August 19th, U.S. scouts spotted activity among the Native Americans in a clearing. The next day, General Wayne, despite losing some of his troops to desertion, decided to lead his roughly 3,300-strong force towards the expected location of the Northwest Indian Army. With Kentucky volunteer cavalry joining as reinforcements, Wayne organized his troops strategically, putting infantry in 2 wings, Kentucky cavalry on the left and dragoons on the right, hugging the Maumee River. Both sides were not at full strength due to desertions, and a group of Native American warriors leaving to find food on the morning of the battle. Around 9 a.m., the remaining 1,000 Native American warriors formed loose lines facing west. When they saw the U.S. vanguard, they attacked. The dense forest made it hard for both sides to keep formations. General Wayne, realizing the limitations of cavalry in the thick trees, ordered his infantry to charge with bayonets. Anticipating the Indian warriors to retreat, Wayne's prediction came true, and the Northwest Indians quickly pulled back, unsuccessfully trying to press Wayne's flanks. Once the Indian warriors moved away from the fallen trees, Wayne unleashed his mounted forces, leading to a rapid retreat by the Native Americans. In less than an hour, The battle was over. The surviving Indians sought refuge at Fort Miamis, but were turned away by the British garrison commander, who didn't want trouble with the Americans. With British support gone, the Northwest Indian Confederation crumbled, marking the end of their resistance in the Northwest Territory. The Native American Confederation suffered substantial casualties during the Battle of Fallen Timbers. Wayne's tactics, including a bayonet charge and strategic use of cavalry, forced the indigenous forces into a retreat. The decisive victory paved the way for the signing of the Treaty of Greenville in 1795. Native American leaders, including Little Turtle and Blue Jacket, agreed to cede significant portions of present-day Oyo and parts of Indian to the United States. In return for the land cessions, the U.S. promised various goods, annual annuities, and a one-time payment to the Native American nations. The treaty established a boundary line, commonly known as the Greenville Treaty Line, which ran from Fort Recovery on the Mome River to the site of Fort Lawrence on the Tuscarawas River. This demarcation aimed to separate Native American lands from U.S. territories. With the acquisition of vast territories through the treaty, the United States solidified its control over the Northwest Territory, paving the way for increased settlement and economic development. The signing of the Treaty of Greenville had significant consequences, permitting white settlers to expand into the Ohio country by pushing native nations further west. Ohio, having gained statehood 8 years later, became the 17th state in the Union. Despite the initial restriction on white settlement in the northwest corner of Ohio within the treaty, this prohibition was short-lived. Regrettably, the Treaty of Greenville stands as a representative case in a series of agreements between the United States and native nations that were disregarded by white settlers. The westward movement persisted as the U.S. population continued to grow, revealing a pattern of non-compliance with negotiated terms. Battle of Tippecanoe, 1811. The Battle of Tippecanoe was a pivotal engagement, 1811, near the Tippecanoe River in present-day Indiana. The conflict arose from the growing tensions between American settlers, led by Governor William Henry Harrison, and Native American tribes, particularly those in the Northwest Territory. The Native Confederation, often associated with the Shawnee leader Tecumseh and his brother Tenskwatawa, the Prophet, aimed to resist further encroachment on their ancestral lands. Faced with determined resistance, Governor William Henry Harrison took charge, leading around 1,000 soldiers and militiamen to dismantle the Shawnee village, Prophet's Town. This village, crafted by Tecumseh as the nexus of a new Native American confederacy, was about to be tested. On the evening of November 6, 1811, Harrison was greeted unexpectedly with a white flag waved by one of Tenskwatawa's followers. Seeking a ceasefire, they proposed a meeting between Harrison and Tecumseh before any conflict ensued. This proposition meant a delay, as Tecumseh was away recruiting warriors from the 5 civilized tribes facing similar land challenges. As the sun rose the next morning, Harrison's troops found themselves encircled by Tenskwatawa's warriors. The warriors cleverly initiated a diversionary assault on the northern part of the American formation, prompting the first shots of the battle and jolting the rest of Harrison's still sleeping force into action. A relentless attack on the southern side caused Spencer's Yellow Jackets to falter and retreat, with Captain Spencer and 2 commanding lieutenants succumbing to the onslaught of warriors. In the midst of chaos, Harrison managed to restore order by repositioning Captain David Robb and the Indiana Mounted Rifles from the northern flank to reform the beleaguered southern side. Reluctantly, the warriors withdrew, allowing Harrison's men to fortify their defenses and regain control. In the end, Governor Harrison claimed a big win, saying it boosted his reputation, even though there's not strong evidence to back that up. Tenskwatawa's supporters tried rebuilding their village, but Harrison destroyed it again on November 19, 1812. The crucial moment came on October 5, 1813, when Tecumseh was killed by Harrison's forces during the Battle of the Thames. Despite a promise in the Treaty of Ghent to protect Aboriginal rights, the Americans decided to ignore it. Unfortunately, any hopes for an Aboriginal homeland in the Northwest were shattered in 1815. This marked a sad end to the events set in motion by Harrison's claims and subsequent actions. In the aftermath of the Northwest Indian War, the U.S. government began implementing policies to concentrate Native American populations on designated reservations. This marked a significant shift in how native lands were managed, further limiting their autonomy and self-governance. The grievances stemming from the Northwest Indian War laid the groundwork for continued hostilities between Native American tribes and the U.S. government. This cycle of conflict persisted through the 19th century, with events like the Indian Removal Act and the Trail of Tears. Despite their resilience, Native American communities endured profound challenges during this period. Loss of ancestral lands, disruptions to traditional ways of life, and the devastating impact of armed conflicts took a toll. These challenges reverberated through generations, shaping the ongoing struggles faced by Indigenous communities in the aftermath of westward expansion. Do share your thoughts with us in the comment section below, and don't hesitate to hit both the like and subscribe button to show your unwavering support. Thanks for watching.